Welcome to the Better Together podcast, where we look for ways we can work together to advance the cause of Christ among Free Will Baptists around the world. Today we have with us Pastor Melvin Moon. He pastors in Hartville, Missouri. He has been there as the pastor, I believe, Melvin, for more than 31 years. Yep. You've been pastoring that church. So he started pastoring when he was 12. Actually, not true, but he was in his 20s, and he has been preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ since the age of 15. So Melvin has really quite a story and has had quite a ministry there in Hartsville, Missouri for many, many years. So it's such a pleasure to have you here with us today, my friend.
Well, thank you. And I better say this right up front. It's just Hartville, not Hartsville.
Okay.
Because it's Hartsville, Tennessee. So, yeah. So okay.
All your congregation will be listening and saying, I can't believe he kept saying that.
Yeah. So, I can't believe I let you by with it.
That's right.
People say that a lot. They say,
I am duly corrected there. So, but you've been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
How is it that, we see people that will move from pastorate to pastorate, and how is it that you've ended up staying in the same place for 31 years, Melvin?
Well, I would say the first 5 years were probably the most difficult. There's different challenges as you go, but I finally realized what the old preachers say is true. The same problems are everywhere. The grass seems greener, but it's really not. The guy who just left the other place probably didn't think so. And at Hartville, I know all the problems that go with the faces. If I go somewhere else, I'm going to have to learn that all over again. But it's that commitment of just like a marriage relationship, and you want to stay committed. You're going to work through bad times. There have been times I just didn't think I could go on. There were probably times people hoped I would just move on. I don't know, but there are still people here that were here in the beginning. We have three leaders that were deacons and leaders in our church, 3 guys that are in their 90s that were on the board when I came. And they're still here. And of course, I joke around and say that I thought I'm just 20 and these guys are in their 60s. If I just hang on, I can outlive them. And I'm like, here's been 31 years and you guys are still here. But we have been through so much of life together.
Yeah.
Through just incredible blessings and joy and heartaches and tragedy and births and baptisms and funerals. I tell you, and they have let me be me. Brother Eddie, they have, not that they haven't confronted me from time to time about a few things, but my personality can get me in trouble if I don't watch it. But they have let me be me, and we just had a great relationship. And I just want to be faithful to the Lord and to His people here. I will say this: there was a time that I thought I want out of this small town. This is a dying town. It is a county seat, but it's a rural county. And I wanted to move on, and the Lord really impressed me through several different means that, this is my kingdom, these are my sheep, and you're successful if you just do what I tell you to do and serve faithfully the people that I've called you to. And I knew there's a lot of things, I know there still is a lot of things that I need to have happen on the inside, and a lot of work that needs to be done here. And so why should I look for anything else when I know I'm not fulfilling everything He wants me to do here? And I think it's easy sometimes to just get frustrated. So, you know what? I want to just start over somewhere. And I think all of us struggle with that. And sometimes that's God's plan. But every time I've thought that, the Lord said, no, you just need to be faithful with where you're at. And if I want you to move on, and if you're walking with me, I'll hit you in the face with it. You won't miss it.
Yeah. And I've heard you talk in the past about how you've baptized children. You also had baptized their parents. Over 31 years, you're doing funerals and you're there for the births. There is no replacing that in the ministry, is there?
There isn't. And in a small town like this, it's not just our church, but I mean, if you assembled everybody here that I was their pastor at least at one time or another in these past 30 years, I don't know what we would do with all of them. But, for various reasons, they intermarry into other families. Some they just move on, but not just our sister Free Will Baptist churches, but, some of the other churches, Southern Baptist, Nazarene, whatever, that, they're all over the community. So a lot of those pastors have come and gone through the years. And what begins to happen is I'm not those people's pastor, but we have a relationship. We actually had a Southern Baptist church that went without a pastor for a couple of years, and the deacons are good buddies of mine. In fact, they're probably better buddies by the fact they don't go to our church. We can go fishing together. We're good friends, but they were constantly calling and seeking, spiritual encouragement. So what I'm trying to say is, in a smaller town, when you stay there, sometimes you kind of become a town pastor in some ways. And that's a responsibility that you should take very serious. So I have to kind of make sure I watch myself wherever I go, because you never know who's out there, who's watching. You have one of those bad moments at the ball game when you want to really shout encouragement to the referee and things like that.
Just hold it back.
Yeah.
But as a pastor, maybe even a fellow that's thinking of going into the ministry, it's helpful to think about what you're doing there, because you are impacting a community. You're impacting your church, but you're impacting the greater city, that county. I think 20,000 people in your county. And when you think about the influence of Christianity in other places, it doesn't have that kind of influence. And people talk about it, big fish, small pond, big, and big fish and big pond. Really, you can have an influence, you can have a ministry, and that's what you've seen over 3+ decades of ministry in one place. Yeah. So I want to point out, you're one of our coaches. And so we've got someone out there, you're listening, you're like, I could use some help. And I'll tell you straight up, this is a guy that could help you in the ministry, because he has had a long-term ministry and still has, I think, quite a bit in front of him. If you're interested in coaching, let us know. And Melvin's one of the fellows that can help you out. But one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the Better Together podcast today is because you're going to be doing something in Memphis on a Sunday morning, not too far out in the future. Tell us about how you're preparing to speak in Memphis in a couple of weeks, Melvin.
Well, we kind of got thrown a curve, because we were supposed to be in Oklahoma City last year. And with me I'm really focused mostly right now. I'm trying to get ready for this Sunday, and tomorrow night's lesson that we're doing. But in writing down thoughts, you guys gave me such a big, wide open topic: sowing seed in difficulty. Yeah. And that's one of the ways we overcome. We've got to keep, but that is such a easy message that we all, is close to our heart, because the gospel's got to stay central. Mm-hmm. That's it. We can get so wrapped up in all these cultural wars and things going on that we, and we're and I'm emotional about standing up for different things that I feel so strongly about, and truths that are scriptural. But if I'm not careful, I can get so busy doing some of those things that I'm actually not sharing the gospel. Mm-hmm. So in preparing for that, what happens with me is I'm writing down notes here and there and thoughts here and there and studying the scripture and going through. And this typically happens to me during a week. I'm sure it happens to a lot of our guys, is that all of a sudden you've got so much. It's like, okay, Lord, what of this is just for me? And what do I need to share? And how can I share it in a way that will be as effective as you want it to be and interesting? Yeah. We were already doing a lot of putting messages on website and thing, but going through the pandemic, everybody all of a sudden had to start learning ways to stream, and so you gotta, whenever it's out there and it's there, you want to be careful how you say things and what you say. For instance, I started being careful about. I grew up in Rosebud, Arkansas, and I would tell Rosebud stories quite often. So I had to be careful about that, because somebody be calling me up and say, "Hey, wait a minute, that was me you were talking about." But but they also, I think, wanted to put a warning out there that do not drive or operate heavy equipment while you're listening to this message. It may induce drowsiness, So you want to be interesting,
Yeah.
you don't want to be fake. You don't want to be fluffy, but I think I heard when I was just a kid that that preaching is proclaiming God's truth and teaching God's truth through personality. And so I want to just be myself.
Mhm.
Not everybody can, a little bit of me goes a long ways, probably with some people, but I think that's one of the things the Lord's encouraged me to do is to preach, His word, and to be myself. And but this is such a big topic of what we face. This is something that as Free Will Baptist, we have a unique relationship and an association to build one another up and to encourage each other. That He's sent us here He's building His kingdom, and He's chosen to do it through people like us, and that has got to be the focus. And then making disciples as people come to the Lord, and we can get involved in a lot of things and forget the main thing. So there it is, keeping the main thing. Nobody has to show up now. There it is.
Well, but you'll put a little meat on the bones.
Oh yeah.
Or that's why they've got to tune in. And really, if you think about it, this is kind of made for you. So you've been in a situation where you have served faithfully in the same place, ministering to the same folks. And I think I've heard you say something like at one point you felt the Lord was just saying, stay where you're at, roll up your sleeves and get to work. And I sense that's kind of what you're conveying in the message there. We overcome, we're sowing seeds, and a lot of things happening around us, but roll up your sleeves and focus on what God's called us to do.
Right. And this place where we are it's not like Nashville or anything. It's a small town, but things have changed so much even here. And we began to be burdened a few years ago. And as I began to share that burden, other people were burdened that all of a sudden our church isn't looking like our community. Drugs, poverty coming out of that, families split up, foster care situation. And, and it kind of felt like we have a lot of good churches in our county that really teach God's truth, good people, good, solid Christian people. But are we making the impact in the lost world that we should? And one of the things that grew out of that is we have a Celebrate Recovery ministry that meeting tonight every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But we began to really realize that so many people out there don't have the same worldview. They haven't had the same upbringing. They don't know what we know. They're coming from and so how do we connect?
Yeah.
And that's what the gospel has always done. And we're trying to do a better job of impacting, because, you can just be a beacon for truth, but we've got to be that. But we've also got to take the truth to the darkness. Excellent. And that's the challenge we've really felt here in the last 5 years, especially.
Well, that's great. And we appreciate what you're doing and really a good model. You're helping. I think it helps other churches to see this is what we can do, and not to be disappointed, that we're in a rural situation, but realize actually a lot of America could end up heading in a rural direction. Some of the things people say could happen as a result of the pandemic. This is a good model for how you reach your community, and we're able to impact it and have an influence. Our community is different because we're there.
Right.
You're doing a good job, my friend. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to hearing you too. And I know many of our listeners are as well. And we'll be praying for you as you prepare and as you continue your ministry there in Hartville.
Hartville, yeah.
So and I'm sure all those folks will be tuning in, watching that morning, and trying to see and praying for their pastor and the good job you'll be doing.
Well, thank you, Brother Eddie. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the good material that you continue to make available. I'm excited about the National Association, the fellowship, and then all the seminars that you guys have gotten lined up already. So I'm looking forward to just soaking in a lot, enjoying the encouragement, the fellowship, and being challenged and taught. It's just going to be a great time. And we all keep praying that nothing else happens to mess up our coming together.
There you go. Well, thank you, my friend. And thank you all for listening to us today. So we encourage you, come and join us there in Memphis, Tennessee. If you're not able to, we encourage you to check out some of the activities and goings on online. Also, please take this podcast, like it, share it. You can like it at Better Together, NAFWB, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and just remember, everything we do is important, and we truly are better together.